Hey guys, Dell here from Dell's Rigging and Crane Tips, a 2022 a crane box a crane box sponsored by Cranebox. Get one of these today, cranebox.com.au. It's got everything you need. One bag for everything. No more multiple bags. No more juggling bags out of your crane, your truck. It's just one bag for everything. Cranebox. Anyway, guys, on today's video, I just want to recap from last week, about the outriggers and the whole boss thing, and just touch on something. So, with your boss and what he says is law is, it's a tricky situation. If he wants particular stuff on like his crane done, then yeah, sure. But there is times where the bosses have been bosses for years and they've just got yes men around them and no one really challenges them, and stuff they do isn't, or think they do isn't safe or isn't right. And so there's a few examples of that, and when you're young and impressionable and don't know much, you can fall into a trap of just going, yeah, well, he's supervisor or he's the boss and we'll do that, and you can get into trouble. Like, one example is like when I first started, like when I was 19, I was probably 6 months in, I was in a 50-ton truck mount, and our supervisor, we set up for this tilt panel, and he set me up on Tar Seal Road, and he goes, you just set up as close as you can to that edge, and the edge was like tar seal. Then it was like a digger had scraped it for the footing of the building, and that was sort of filled with water from the rain before. And I didn't know much. I was 6 months in. He was the supervisor, and he said that, and I guess at the time I should have known better, but I mean, I don't know. Like, the dude was the supervisor, so I thought, tar seal, that's solid. I'm sort of not too far. I'm not too close to the edge. I was maybe like a meter off or something. The edge was only probably like about that. And so I picked the tilt panel up, I put it over, I get the tilt panel close to the ground like that, and then they just wanted me to slew just a little bit over. I slewed a little bit over, and the whole foot of the outrigger went through the ground, and the tilt panel came down a bit, and I'm just sitting there like this in my crane, man, and I'm just like, what the... He had gone by then because he thought, yeah, sweet as, and so the riggers ran off. They thought the crane was going to go over. All I did was winch down and slewed around, and then it sort of just came back up as I released the weight. But close call, you know what I mean? And I look back and I think, what was he thinking? Like, was this a set? Like, I still think now, I'm like, was that a setup? Like, was he? Because he was weird like that, this guy, and or he just didn't know. Like, he's just a bluffer. He didn't know much. And then I remember hearing a few years ago, like this is like 17 years ago, that he tipped this little this little crane over, and I was just like, yeah. And I think back, and so my tip is just like, don't blindly follow people, man. And it's really hard when they've got a big beard and they've got a mining hard hat and they stomp around and they say, I've been doing this for 40 years. You've just got to be very, like, don't trust me, like, read books, get knowledge of people, but don't just blindly trust people. And especially bosses, they do, like, I had another boss who put this like honey grease on the outriggers and all it done was attract dust, and every like 3 months his wear pads and his outriggers used to be ground down to smooth, and you put the outrigger out and it would drop down and you couldn't get it back in, and they had to weld on these tabs again. And after like a year of using this stupid grease, this like sticky grease he must have found in some backyard, which he thought was good. He came to the conclusion that it was no good, and we're just sort of like, so don't, yeah. Some bosses are bosses, and some have got quirky ideas, and some don't know what they're doing, but they're the boss. So yeah, just tread carefully, and ground conditions too. I've said it before. The ground conditions you want to look out for is like out front of houses, because you don't know what's underneath. So make sure you do the biggest spread of timbers you can. Schools, especially old schools, because they don't keep the underground services. I've had a couple of mates tip cranes over in schools because you get there and then the customer's like, oh yeah, well you just set up on the field there. And 70 years ago they had some underground pits there, and then you go through it and they've got no record of the underground services. So I'm always very wary at houses if I do pulls. Very wary of schools, especially older schools like old boarding schools and stuff like that. Grass, tar seal roads on still, like, it's only a layer of that on some of the roads. So just be careful. A lot of houses, make sure you just demand. You say, what are the underground services? Are there any culverts? Are there any stormwater drains underneath your front section? Like, just be real particular. Just on this, I just noticed on one of my videos too. So, see these pins here, how they're facing in? You really want to have those pins facing out the other way. And that's just so you can get a visual of that the sleeper pin's in, the one that holds it in. If they're like this, you don't know if it's in on the other side. You go driving down the road, and if you lose one of these pins, it's super annoying because there's not any on site and there's not any anywhere. And then this could come out and you could smash a car up and get into really trouble. So, I mean, it's not a must, but like, if you can, flick those around so you can see the little sleeper pin. And then last of all, she's on Instagram, DIGGER_GIIRL. She loves diggers, operates diggers, wants to grow a page. Give her a follow. Comment on one of her pictures. Yeah. Give her a follow. Digger girl. Alright, man. Like these videos, subscribe here. There is more to come. I've got some tips with our model crane again coming up soon. So let's get into it. Like these videos, subscribe here. Dale's Rigging and Crane Tips 2022. Oh, yeah.